Hey everybody, let's have some more news. Let's see what these village idiots are doing. By the way, that's not an insult. There's actually a club here called the Village Idiots. A villager has been jailed after allegedly sending a chilling text message threatening to kill her court-appointed guardian. Deborah Jean Freeman, 64, was arrested at her home this past week at Woodridge Drive in the village of Polo Ridge on a charge of intimidation. She continues to be held at the Sumter County Detention Center. Freeman sent a text message to her psychologist stating she was going to murder her court-appointed guardian for starving her and controlling her money, according to an arrest report from the Sumter County Sheriff's Office. A villager will lose his driver's license after a crash in a roundabout near Hacienda of Mission Hills. Great area, by the way, Hacienda Mission Hills. Beautiful. Real quick, Sue and I used to stop there in our golf cart back when they were building Lake Sumter Landing, and we used to take a sack of oranges down there, believe this or not, and feed the cows that was in that field. Joseph Cameron Kanakati, 70, of the village of El Cortez, pleaded no contest this past week in Sumter County Court to a charge of driving under the influence. He will lose his driver's license for 6 months, has been placed on probation for 6 months, and has been ordered to perform 50 hours of community service. He was previously convicted on a charge of driving under the influence in 1998 in Miami-Dade County. A new Home Depot will be built in Wildwood. The new Home Depot is slated for construction in Wildwood. The home improvement store will be located at the corner of County Road 466A, Powell Road. The store will be built on 19.64 acres. 2 out parcels will front the store on Powell Road, allowing spaces for 2 additional retail establishments. There will be entries to Home Depot off of Powell Road, as well as County Road 466A. The out parcels will be a little more than 2 acres each. The 106,700 square foot Home Depot store will include a 28,000 square foot garden center. Home Depot is the world's largest home improvement retailer, and in August reports sales of $43.8 billion for the second quarter of fiscal 2022, an increase of $2.7 billion, or 6.5% from the second quarter of fiscal 2021. Comparable sales for the second quarter of fiscal 2022 increased by 5.8%, and comparable sales in the United States increased 5.4%. Home Depot is also located on Highway US 27 and 441 in Lady Lake. It amazes me how these corporations can keep profits up like that during a downturn in our economy. Construction is expected to begin in 2023 on an acute care hospital at Trailwinds Village on County Road 466A in Wildwood. HCA Healthcare Incorporated already operates the Trailwinds ER and previously announced plans for the new 60-bed hospital. The latest project is that construction will start in December 2023. The healthcare company will be building 3 new acute care hospitals in Florida to help meet the state's growing needs for healthcare services. An unlicensed driver from Mexico was arrested after he was caught behind the wheel of a woman's truck. Amin Perez Rubio, 34, of Lady Lake, was driving the black 2004 Nissan Titan at 6:40 a.m. on Thursday at U.S. Highway 27 and 441 and County Road 466 when an officer noticed an eye-level crack in the truck's windshield, according to the arrest report. During a traffic stop, Rubio admitted he did not have a valid driver's license. Police contacted the woman who owns the truck, and she did not realize it was missing from her home. However, he said she did not want to prosecute Rubio for stealing the truck. He was arrested on a charge of driving without a license, booked at Lake County Jail, and released after posting a $500 bond. Seems fair. A driver who admitted he had a history of trouble was arrested after a traffic stop on a historic site of the Villages. David Michael Galo, 45, of Leesburg, was driving a Hyundai SUV at 10:38 a.m. Saturday at U.S. Highway 27 and 441 when he was pulled over after a check revealed his vehicle's registered owner had a revoked license. A traffic stop was conducted at U.S. Highway 27 and 441 at Wales Plaza. During the traffic stop, Galo admitted He had been in trouble previously for driving on a suspended license. Police officer confirmed that Galo's license had been revoked for 5 years. The New Jersey native was arrested on a felony charge of driving while license suspended. He was also issued a citation for no insurance. He was taken into custody and booked at the Lake County Jail, and he was released after posting a $2,000 bond. A daughter was arrested after allegedly attempting to steal money from her mother's purse at their home in the villages of Country Club Hills. Teddy Rose Morse, 30, was arrested Sunday night at her home on Swartz Boulevard after she grabbed her 69-year-old mother's purse and took $30 and an EBT card, according to the arrest report. The mother demanded a return of the cash, and Morse gave it back, with exception of a few dollars. When the mother threatened to call police, Morse, who stands 5 feet 6 inches tall and weighs 200 pounds, pushed her mother down and got on top of her. Morse only released her mother after Morse's boyfriend yelled at her. Morse and her boyfriend left the home. The mother went to Lady Lake Police Department and reported the incident. Morse was arrested on a felony charge of battery on a person over the age of 65. It was her mother. She was booked at Lake County Jail on a $1,000 bond. Several 911 callers alerted police that a shirtless man causing commotion Sunday evening at Brownwood Paddock Square, the man later identified as 41-year-old Nathan Scott Miller of Oxford, was trying to create a physical disturbance with people at Gators Dockside. Then he went to Bluefin Grill and Bar, and then finally Fiesta Grande. When police found him, Miller was still at Fiesta Grande, posturing aggressively toward numerous elderly patrons at the square. Well, ain't you the man? Miller, who had a strong odor of alcoholic beverages on his breath, refused to comply with commands from police and physically resisted being detained. He began kicking when he was placed in a patrol car, damaging the plexiglass barrier. He was booked at some kind of detention center. Miller told jailers that he was hammered. No kidding. The Massachusetts native was arrested on charges of disorderly intoxication, criminal damage to property, and resisting arrest. He was booked on $1,250 bond. Not near enough. Villagers who make up the group Rusty Rails entertained at a driveway party in the village of Monarch Grove. The party was held at the home of Mary Ann Morin at 1667 Touche Terrace. She fronts the group along with fellow members of villagers Roderick Barnes, Bill Canna, John Smith, and Rodney Nagy. A driver who ran a red light was blamed in an early morning crash near Brownwood. Judith Ann Cerveny, 56, of the village of Hawkins, was driving a gray 2016 Kia Optima at 7:12 a.m. Saturday northbound on Megason Road when she ran a red light, and her front bumper hit the left front fender of a red 2017 Mazda Miata, driven by 63-year-old Julianne Von Ah of the village of Chitty Chatty. Both vehicles' airbags deployed in the collision. Both drivers reported head and neck pain. Cerveny was transported by ambulance to UF Health Leesburg. Von Ah was taken to UF Health, the village's hospital freestanding emergency room at Brownwood. Cerveny was unable to supply police with her insurance information due to it being on her cell phone. She was determined to be at fault in the crash. She said she thought she had the green light. Both vehicles were towed from the scene. A motorcyclist was airlifted to a hospital in Ocala after a collision with a sport utility vehicle in the villages. The 20-year-old Lady Lake man had been riding a Honda motorcycle at 12:22 p.m. Monday eastbound on County Road 466A and Buena Vista Boulevard when he collided with a 2022 Honda SUV driven by a 71-year-old villager, according to the arrest report. The villager had been westbound on County Road 466A and attempted to make a left turn onto Buena Vista Boulevard when he failed to yield to the motorcycle, who had the green light. The side airbag deployed on the village's SUV in the collision. He was not injured. The motorcyclist had been wearing a helmet. 3 eyewitnesses were interviewed by an investigator from Florida Highway Patrol. Traffic was diverted away from the crash during the investigation, causing some backups on Buena Vista Boulevard north and County Road 466A. Community Watch assisted the Sumter County Sheriff's Office in directing traffic. Update on that is 2 days later, that young man passed away. To the editor, I agree that parking inside the square should be for golf carts and limited handicap car parking, especially with the rise in golf cart thefts. You can fit 3 and 4 golf carts in a spot that one car takes up. I am very uneasy parking my golf cart behind the square where anyone can come by with a flatbed pickup and take it. Anyone noticing or stealing anything that I may have left in it. That's sent in by Robin Coble from the village of Monarch Grove. I agree 100%. Another letter to the editor. Look, I moved my mother here 10 years ago because I wanted to have her have a feeling of community and be safe. Who thought 10 years ago about Airbnb and outsiders flooding our streets and stores? New bylaws need to be written now, not at some future date. My mom can't find a place to park and has trouble walking. It's not right. Some partiers rented down the street and it overflowed right onto her front step. This can't continue. These homes were sold under a whole different demographic. It needs to change now. That's sent in by Pamela Hayes, the village of St. John's. I was up at St. John's today. St. John's and St. Charles. Walk On Sports Bistro is reportedly scouting for a location in the Villages. The fast-growing chain is co-owned by Drew Brees, the longtime quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, who led the team to its one and only Super Bowl victory. Walk-Ons is a full-service family sports bar that provides gourmet takes on day favorites, whatever that is. We have a strong culture, the best quality product in the industry, and winning business model with huge opportunities for growth, said co-founder Brandon Laundrie. When these factors come together, we become an unstoppable force. Sounds like a bunch of business rhetoric to me. Another restaurant, and I've said it before, if it don't come off a Cisco truck, you don't get it to eat. A driver with a suspended license was arrested on the historic side of the Villages. Raymond Armand Dion, 55 of Summerfield, was driving a gray 2005 Dodge Magnum station wagon at 9:47 a.m. Thursday on Highway 27441 when an officer ran the vehicle's license plate and learned the vehicle's registered owner had a suspended license, according to the arrest report. A traffic stop was initiated at the Boone Gate. During the traffic stop, the officer discovered Dion has 4 previous guilty convictions for driving while license suspended. 4. This makes number 5. Massachusetts native was taken into custody on a felony charge of driving while license suspended and booked at the Lake County Jail. He was released after posting a $5,000 bond. Impound his car until he can show proof of ownership, proof of insurance, and a license before he released the car. An 80-year-old villager has been jailed without bond after skipping his appointments with his probation officer. John Paul Tupin of the village of LaBelle North was booked Sunday at the Sumter County Detention Center on a probation violation. This summer, Tupin pleaded no contest to a charge of driving under the influence at Sumter County Court. He lost his driver's license for 6 months, was placed on probation for 1 year, and was ordered to perform 50 hours of community service. A special magistrate approved a site plan Tuesday for a furniture store at the Beaumont development on County Road 466A across from the Villages. Ashley Furniture will build a new 58,775 square foot furniture showroom along Sundance Trail at the development across from Pinellas Plaza. The site plan won the approval of Special Magistrate Lindsay C.T. Holt in a planning and zoning meeting at Wildwood City Hall. A new rental community to be known as Oxford Place is touting its proximity to the Villages. Everybody does. This is where the action is, so everybody wants to take advantage of our area and our town squares and everything. The rental community of duplex and single-family units, as well as an amenity center and a swimming pool, will be constructed on 17.985 acres on the west side of U.S. Highway 301, about a half a mile south of East County Road 466. Twigler Brother Residential LLC is developing the 154-unit Class A single-family home rental community. The builder is specifically targeting the estimated 15,000 employees who work in the villages, many of whom recently have long commutes, according to the community literature. It describes the layouts of the housing as two-bedroom cottage-style units. It says there's an intense demand for workforce housing due to the enormous growth of the villages, which is why apartment buildings and family developments are flourishing. Yeah, that's what they say. A villager has pleaded not guilty to a charge of trying to kill his wife after repeatedly stabbing her in the home. I'm not laughing at the stabbing. How can you deny something? You stab somebody 12 times and say it was an accident. God. George Albert Hatchie, 72, entered a plea of not guilty Monday in Sumter County Court to a charge of attempted first-degree murder. He continues to be held without bond at the Sumter County Detention Center. The Rhode Island native allegedly stabbed his wife 12 times on the morning of September 28th at her home in the village of Della Vista North. After 68-year-old wife was able to call 911 after being stabbed in the legs, the abdomen, and chest. Good Lord, I don't even need to read the rest of that. And yet he's claiming he didn't try to kill her. Put me on that. Put me on that committee. Villager Mark Michelani got his 7th hole-in-one Monday at the Orange Blossom Hills Country Club. He scored the lucky ace on hole number 3. I was playing with my usual group on Monday afternoon, and one of the gentlemen has been playing all his life, and it was the first time he had seen anyone get a hole-in-one. Michelani said, "Well, I've been playing my whole life, and I've never had one. Came close a million times, but, close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades." Congratulations, Mark, on your 7th hole-in-one. Make sure you report that. They'll put it in the newspaper. The Sumter County Health Department is making available free naloxone, or otherwise known as Narcan, nasal spray kits to battle the opioid crisis. Naloxone is available to people who use opioid narcotics, people with a history of drug use, others at risk of experiencing an overdose, friends, family members, and others who may witness an overdose. Kits consist of 2 naloxone nasal sprays that are administered even without a healthcare professional present. A woman has been arrested after a man died after an apparent drug overdose at a home in the villages. Boy, this is great timing. Emergency personnel were called shortly after 7 p.m. Friday to a home in the village of Tierra del Sol North, where a 25-year-old male who was obviously deceased was found, according to an arrest department of Sumter County Sheriff's Office. A small foil wrapper containing an off-white powdery substance was found in close proximity of the dead man. The substance tested positive for fentanyl. A deputy went through the dead man's phone and found the name Amanda. It was suspect that it was a reference to 28-year-old Amanda Rose Kitchen of Leesburg, who had been arrested last year in Wildwood. Deputies found Kitchen at about 1 a.m. Wednesday at the Wawa parking lot on U.S. Highway 441 in Lady Lake. She was in her mother's gray Honda SUV. Members of Sumter County Sheriff's Office Special Investigation Squad surrounded the vehicle and ordered her to step out. Kitchen was found to be in possession of a small silver wrapper, which tested positive for fentanyl. It was identical to the foil wrapper found near the dead man's body days earlier in the villages. Kitchen was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $15,000 bond. I say again, did you expect this in a retirement community? And why are basically children living here full time? It makes no sense to me. A public hearing is set this week regarding a long troubled home in the villages where a dead couple's son has been living. The home at 1906 Augustine Drive in the village of Santo Domingo will be the subject of a public hearing Friday morning before the Community Development District 2 Board of Supervisors. The board will meet at 9:30 a.m. The home, which had been in foreclosure with the utility shut off, has been the subject of previous public hearings after complaints from neighbors. The last person known to be living at the residence was 42-year-old Timothy James James Cronin Downey, who was arrested at the home in 2021 after the Sumter County Sheriff's deputy received a report who concerned that the Weymouth, Massachusetts native might be endangering himself. He has previously been arrested on driving under the influence, drug charges, driving while license suspended. He was ordered into drug rehabilitation in 2011, according to the Sumter County court records. Joseph and Rosemary Downey purchased a home in 2004. They married in 1968. She died in 2016. Joseph Downey died in 2020, the day after his 81st birthday. The same month, the home was turned over to his son, Timothy. And Timothy's a druggie. Living in a retirement community. Letters to the editor. To the editor, I own my home. I pay taxes and an amenity fee, which is supposed to have a cap on it, as I've owned for 18 years. But that cap has gone, and now talking of paying for guest passes. I think that is ludicrous. If I invite a person to my home, they or myself should not have to pay to use the pool that goes with my home. And if the people that work at the pools would just check for IDs, that would cut down a lot of usage that should not happen. Do you think so? I have been at my pool in the summertime, and there's people there that don't live here and are not guests to anybody. That could be eliminated by the people that work in a rec center doing their job. Call Rohan. I've done video on Rohan. I've announced his phone number, his office number's down there. Call Rohan and complain, all of you. He's not listening to me anymore because I think I'm the only one complaining about it. But he's going to give you a bunch of rhetoric. I love the Villages, but there comes a time enough is enough. No charges for my guests to use what I own. That's sent in by Sandra Walver, the Village of Lynn Haven. Well, that's a good comment there, Sandra. I don't agree with 100% of what you're saying, but I agree with 99% of what you're saying and the meaning of it. I've been complaining about it for the longest time. The landscapers use our pool up here all the time. They go in, they'll take a break, they have lunch. They go in and dirty up our toilets and everything else. They got chemicals on their boots. They're tracking across the surface. The people that's at the pool are basically barefooted, and they may be allergic to those chemicals. I've complained and complained and complained, and it's gotten nowhere other than a bunch of rhetoric. They'll lie to you and tell you a bunch of crap. And down to newer area, those people are having fun. They're not paying attention to this yet, but this problem is going to be down there. It's just a matter of time. They just don't notice it right now because they're too busy having driveway parties. We did the same thing here. It took a couple of years before people would just kind of like, I just noticed something. It'll happen, trust me. A resident of the Villages served a month and a half in jail after a fracas at Margarita Republic in Spanish Springs Town Square. Robert Corey Watkins, 31, who lives at 1313 Lester Drive on the historic side of the Villages, was arrested August 27th on charges of disorderly intoxication, possession of marijuana, and resisting arrest. Watkins, who was identified by his Massachusetts driver's license, was screaming and dumping alcoholic beverages on himself in the middle of the roadway. At the night spot, according to the arrest report, there was a loud commotion with people yelling from the bar area. Watkins appeared to be heavily intoxicated. Do you think so? He told officers he was going to walk home, but the officers suggested he take a cab out of concern of his safety. Take the hit, boy. Watkins refused. And he said, I will be going to jail. And he did. And a month and a half later, they let him out. Good choice. Tim Doyle of the Village of Dunedin got his second hole-in-one Wednesday at hole number 8 at Pimlico Executive Golf Course. Congratulations there, Tim. Beers on Tim. A woman was arrested with a purse full of drugs after a report of a suicidal threat at the Sandalwood condominiums in Wildwood. Sumter County Sheriff's deputies responded to a condominium complex at about 10:30 p.m. Wednesday, where 31-year-old Christina Marie Mercutio was going to be transported from the scene by ambulance. According to the arrest report, she was informed her purse would have to be searched prior to the transport to a medical facility. The New York native jumped out of her shoes and ran to the purse, which was on the hood of the deputy's police car. She was handcuffed, but she managed to slip out of her handcuffs and attempted to escape, kicking a deputy as she tried to flee. She was wrapped in a restraint device and placed in the back seat of a car. A search of Bequicchio's purse turned up 11 grams of fentanyl, a brown tar-like substance which tested positive to methamphetamine. Another substance was tested positive for heroin, and a glass jar of gummies which tested positive for THC. Man, these people with drugs. You'd think they'd be smarter, wouldn't you? You can't play dumb. It ain't like you don't know. A driver was arrested after he was caught behind the wheel of a pickup truck without a license. Ruiz Maridiaga Radiz Augustin, 32, was driving a red Chevrolet pickup with a Florida license plate shortly after 9 a.m. Wednesday on State Road 44 in Wildwood while he was pulled over by a Sumter County Sheriff's deputy. A computer check revealed that he has never been issued a driver's license anywhere in the United States. He was taken into custody on a misdemeanor charge of driving without a license. He was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $500 bond. A villager was arrested on a drunk driving charge after she was found slumped over in the golf cart. A Fruitland Park police officer found the golf cart at 6:15 p.m. Monday on Wise Way with 53-year-old Christina Lynn Bullen, who lives at 3197 Dresendorfer Drive in the village of Pine Ridge. Real quick, Dresendorfer Drive was a lady that was a realtor for the villages, and she sold enough, I think it's $1 million worth of sales. They named a street after you. I met this lady. She was elderly when I met her, was still sharp as a tack. Her speech was slurred, and it appeared she had been drinking. Bullen attempted to push herself out of the golf cart and almost fell to the ground, according to the arrest report. The Virginia native became combative when EMS personnel who advised she needed to be taken to the hospital due to her intoxication. Bullen was transported to UF Health Leesburg Hospital, where she continued to yell and curse at law enforcement. She kicked an officer before she was restrained by hospital staffers. A blood sample was taken to determine her level of intoxication. She was arrested on charges of battery on law enforcement officer, resisting arrest, driving under the influence, and disorderly intoxication. She was booked at the Lake County Jail and released after posting a $7,500 bond. A brother and sister in the villages have been accused of bilking an insurance company out of $22,000. Sophie Nafsif Balus, 74, who lives in Villa Vera Cruz in the village of Santiago, is facing a felony charge of fraud. Her brother, 81-year-old Yasef El Masri, who also lives in Villa Vera Cruz, was arrested on charges of fraud earlier this year. The brother and sister, who are from Egypt, have been charged after the investigation by the Florida Department of Financial Services Division of Investigative and Forensic Services. El Misri collected $22,050 from Genworth Insurance for care provided for his wife, Earlene Payton. Balus filed paperwork claiming she had provided care for Payton at the rate of $25 per hour. She also claimed she was not related to Payton by either blood or marriage, according to the investigation. Baloo said she was providing care at 78 hours per week. Genworth Insurance on May 12, 2021 initiated a care call with El Masri, who had Baloo with him on speakerphone. El Masri, who immigrated to the United States in 1968 and spent many years in Chicago, told the insurance company representative that Baloo's English is not the best. The call was conducted on a recorded line. Balus claimed she was working about 10 hours per day, helping Payton get out of bed, go to the bathroom. She also said she helped Payton bathe and got her to the dinner table. An investigator later analyzed the call and determined that Balus was being coached. When an investigator went to Balus's home this past August, she was confronted with the fact she had been making $1,800 per week providing care for Payton. Balus said that doesn't make sense. She said she did not receive a penny for the care and claimed she was volunteering. During the interview, she also admitted El Masri is her brother. El Masri had been in the headlines due to a fierce battle earlier this year with the Community Development District 2 Board of Supervisors. Oh, yeah. Added on to the house without Architectural Review Committee's permission, and they had to take it all down. El Masri also owns a villa next to the one he had unapproved Florida room. El Masri filed a lawsuit claiming the tenants owed him $3,400 in rent and utilities at 2166 Estevez Drive. The mother of the male tenant of the home wrote to a court in September 2020 claiming that El Masri had refused to accept their money. In the letter, the mother claimed that El Masri shut off the water at the villa and ordered her son and his wife to use a bucket and a hose. Oh, God. During the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. She also claimed that her son, who is mentally disabled, worked for El Masri cleaning up his nasty house, but was not paid a dime. She also claimed El Masri sabotaged the air conditioner unit at the rented villa. The home at 2166 Estevez Drive was the subject of deed compliance case later that year. At the time, neighbors complained that El Masri allowed the property to deteriorate while he was living next door. Sounds like a total pig. A man was released from jail after his arrest earlier this year at the restaurant in the Villages. Brett Barton, Morehouse, 35 of Fort Pierce, was sentenced to time served earlier this month in Lake County Court after pleading no contest to charges of trespass and criminal mischief. He had been lodged at the Lake County Jail since his arrest May 22 by Lady Lake Police after they received a report of a suicidal male at the pub restaurant at Fiesta Bowl on Alvienda Central in the Villages. Officers were already investigating a burglary which had occurred hours earlier at his mother's home in Rolling Acres apartment. Entry had been made through a window in the master bedroom, and a kitchen knife had been used to stab the bed multiple times. Officers found a paper towel with blood on it, and it contained a message directed to Morehouse's mother. In addition, 2 televisions in the apartment were damaged, groceries were removed from the refrigerator and thrown on the floor, and the apartment was in total disarray. Ray and Joy Musselman, dressed as Cinderella and Prince Charming at the village of Monarch Grove dress-up Halloween party at Everglades Recreation Center. Enjoy the rest of your life. Have a good time. You look great. Well, I think that's going to be the news for this week. Well, with that being said, let me just simply say... Please don't leave your keys in the golf cart.